Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan Johnson, and on behalf of Caresoft Technology Corporation, I'd like to welcome you to the fifth and final part of our webinar series with Qlik and IPC Global, Enhancing Supply Chain Insights for Readiness and Efficiency in Healthcare. I'd like to introduce our speaker for today's presentation, Igor Alcantara, Director of Data Science and Education, IPC Global and Qlik MVP and Partner Ambassador. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Igor. You can take it away from here.
Thanks, Megan. Thanks, everyone who's joining the session. I assume that you can all hear me okay. So this is our final webinar in this healthcare series, and we'll talk about supply chain in healthcare. But before we get started, I think we can start with the first CP question. So you will see popping up on our screen, which aspects of your current supply chain management poses the greatest challenge right now? Give you a few seconds to reply. Supply chain in healthcare, it's very similar to like regular supply chain, but the actors and of course the supplies change because it's a different use case. For data privacy reasons, of course, I could not use any real data for supply chain because, of course, we cannot use any customer data. We cannot use any hospital real data. So the data that we'll see in this demo were two things. First, they were synthetically generated, so we artificially synthetically created this data set. But if you basically plug and play real data set, it works the same. What I want to show you today is the art of possible, what it can be done. But what can be done is not limited to what I'm showing today. So the second thing is I created like a simplified data set for supply chain so then we can focus on features, not necessarily analyzing the data, because it would not make sense to analyze data that is synthetic, that is not real data. So just keep those in mind. So of course, there are specific aspects of supply chain that would not be demonstrating today because for the purpose of this demo, we have like a little bit of a simplified version. So all right, so these data set that we created, it's a small data set. It's for these small clinic. And so we don't have a lot of data. And it's just a short period of time, year and a half data. So for this data set, we have a limited number of products, limited number of different product categories. So then we can focus and it will be easier to analyze within the time frame of this webinar. And we have a little bit over 3,000 orders, which it's for a year and a half, it seems like pretty small. But what is interesting is that a little bit over 500 of those orders, which is a big percentage, were rush orders. Rush order are basically orders that, I did not purchase in advance. So I needed, let's say, I realize I'm running out of aspirin, or running out of a Lipitor or face mask or something, and I need to do a rush order to get faster delivery. So we have a high percentage of those, which is a problem. I mean, I should be able to better manage my supply chain, so then I don't need many rush orders. So I can plan ahead, and then it helps me also reduce the cost. And there are many ways you can flag a rush orders. In some system, the system itself flags an order as a rush order. Sometimes we use some statistical techniques. For example, if your shipping fee is a little bit higher, and there's how much higher, we can statistically calculate if it's an outlier, then it means like you need it to be delivered faster than usual. So it's a rush order. Sometimes there is even an extra fee that the suppliers will charge you for the rush order because you jump ahead of in the line to other customers, etc. We apply some of these techniques here, and we identify these rush orders. And then there's a cost. So just shipping costs alone, we paying extra. It seems not a lot if you think about $7,000, but think of this as a very small clinic, this is a very small data set. Proportionally, it is something that we could save. It is a considerable amount. So that's the penalty, let's say, for not planning ahead. This is only for shipping alone. That's how we calculate it here. However, not everything is bad news. Most of the orders are delivered on time, which is great. And even having so many rush orders, I have a pretty high percentage of products with low stock. And low stock here basically means you are below what is considered a safety stock. How much is a safety stock? Depends on the product. Each product has a specific quantity depending on the consumption. So let's say aspirin, we consumed a lot, is a higher safety stock. Some other products that you don't consume as much, you can have a lower safety stock. And then, if you never work with supply chain, you might say, well, this is easy to fix. Just buy a bunch of products and then have a good, healthy stock. Well, there's always a trade-off. There's a cost of having a larger stock. First, there's a cost of actually having this stock. There's many different techniques and methodologies out there. Like the simplest one, for example, it's usually calculating what we call the carrying cost is like 20% of the value of the products. It's just carrying stock because you need space in your warehouse. Sometimes if you need to refrigerate that product, you need space in a refrigerator, and that also costs electricity and all of that. But also there's another problem. A lot of this stock might go bad. They might expire if you have too much of that quantity and don't consume in time. So of course, ideally, we want to have a healthy stock, but not too much that will cost you, a lot. So having a tool like this, analytics tool like this with predictive capabilities and other capabilities that we see today, help us to have like a healthy and well-managed supply chain. And again, we're showing this for healthcare, but it's applicable to like any industry. I don't want to just describe charts, so let me go over some of these charts and then we'll focus on some others. My main objective here is, as I said, to show you the art of possible. So let's see something. For example, here we have a comparison per type of product for product category of how much in stock, how many products in that category are in the healthy level stock, which are represented with the green color, and how much in the unhealthy, meaning there's a low stock, represented by the red color. If we don't worry about the number, if we just look visually, and that's the beauty of data visualization, but just quickly looking at it, you can see if there's any trends or outliers. And honestly, I don't see any. The overall percentage, as we saw, it's 43%, it's like close to half. And if we just quickly look at it, that looks like what's going on with every single category. So that tells me there's no particular type of product or category of product of supply that is the cause of this problem. So the problem, which is actually bad news. So it means the problem is everywhere in all different types of products. We're running low in all the categories. Now, does that mean that it's all of the products have the problem overall? Well, not necessarily. Maybe some products, they are just having a worse situation than others. So, but if we look like this, now I'm drilling down to the actual products. So we went to the product category and drilling down to the actual products, which is a capability that tools like Qlik allow us to do so. So these products right here, this graph right here basically shows what is the safest stock status. So this is not the actual stock, is how much above or below the safety level each product is. And this looks like pretty small to analyze it, but no worries. I can right click, maximize it, and see full screen. So I can see the aspirin, Lipitor, CT scan reagent are my worst 3 products in terms of stock. They're way below the safety level as of now. And we have these some medication, I'm not sure what way to say it, levothyroxine. That's for thyroids. That's at least I know. That's the safest one. However, we're keeping too much of these. So I'm worried that some of these medication maybe will go bad. And why are we keeping that many medication? And that's a prescribed medication. It's not out-of-the-counter medication. So that's kind of concerning to me. So, and if we visually look at it, it looks like 43% of the product. So it looks consistent to what we saw. Beauty of Qlik, any data you see, you can actually interact with that and change the perspective, change the context of what you're seeing. So if I come here and I simply click on these, let's say, bars, let's get the worst 5 products. If I just click them, I make them selectable. Let me confirm my selection. And then if I minimize again, then everything reflects what I have selected. And Qlik gives me the context. So it tells me I've selected 5 out of 30 products, and this is the result of my selection. So those, I had close to 1,000 orders. So close to a third, a little bit below a third of my orders were to those worst 5 products. So we actually ordering a lot of those products, but still we getting a lot of low stock. And of course, it shows 100% product with low stock because we selected those 5 with the worst stock. And they are in 2 categories. Okay. Now, if I simply remove that selection, then I'm back to the overall context. And you see how fast it is? I can even come to this chart right here, which I can, again, maximize if I want to. So this basically shows me the current stock of each product and the safety stock. So the products up here are the healthiest. Actually, the products down here are the healthiest because there was like a balance between the current stock and the safety stock. The products right here are kind of the worst products because we have not a lot of current stock, and of course that probably means they are below or close to the safety stock. So I can also come here if I want to and select an area of products. So let me select these kind of quadrant of products. Confirm, minimize, and same thing. And see how fast it makes the changes. So that's the beauty of, I think it's the core of the whole Qlik Analytics product, which is called the associative engine. And by the way, it's something they have since the first release of the product in 1993, and it's still it's patented. So other products they try to mimic, but it's just an imitation. It doesn't perform like this. So meaning I don't need to query back all of the data sources, wait for an answer. It's all in memory. It just reflects what is in memory and locks everything that is out of scope. And then I can focus on whatever I selected within the scope of my analysis. Pretty good. Now, going back to our problem, we can see all the charts here that shows what are shipping companies that I use the most. You know, sometimes it's a good idea to have 1 or 2 main contractors for shipping so you can negotiate better prices. And it looks like it's what's going on. So USPS and FedEx are the main 2. And then we have UPS, DHL as like an alternative, like maybe we can reduce UPS a little bit more, focus on the top 2. So there's decisions that we can make, and the data and how easy it is to visualize the data, you know, gives me that possibility. Another thing is, where are my suppliers? So good thing is they're all in the US, so I can get faster delivery. I don't need to handle with like international transactions and all of that. So it's a little bit simpler. But my small clinic is in Georgia, and I see most of my suppliers are in Wisconsin, which is, I don't know, maybe that's a good reason we need to investigate. But again, easily with this map, I can see that. So I don't need like a report and then summarizing and all of that. It's kind of easy to see. So this is basically a description of the data for the supply chain of this small clinic that we manage. Now let's go further and let's do some other type of analysis. And then I promise you, we'll do some like predictive analytics. We'll do some more cool stuff. It's not just visualizing charts. Now, maybe my products are low because I had a peak in demand. So let's see historically what's happening. And again, we have about a year and a half of data, and focus on the last months. I can see the ups and downs as expected. There's some time of the year where you have more demand for products, like hospitals are busier, and some time of the year they're less busy, which makes sense. But I use functionalities within the Qlik platform just to draw me a predictive line. So what is the trend in my data? Because when I see things like that as a monthly data, it's kind of hard to see if there's any trend. I might be deceived, by how the chart looks. If the last 3 months there was a little bit of an increase, I might think that's the trend, but maybe there's just seasonality. So by drawing like what is the trend, and we could do like regression analysis, or just analyzing average, or exponential analysis, or all the type of analysis that I know you should program anything. Is just set a property, pick my option, and it draws for me. And that's the pink line right here. And you notice that the pink line is pretty much flat, static. So it means there's no up or down trend. So it's pretty much stable throughout the months. So I cannot use that excuse that, yeah, there's an increase in demand. Even though I see a little bit of increase here, that's not the reason, because it's just, it goes up and down, but, I should expect that. Now, I have maybe as a supplier, yeah, that supplier, maybe because the supplier is in Wisconsin, it's too far, I don't know. Maybe there was snowstorm I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we can blame a supplier. So these are my suppliers. And if I analyze it, like on-time delivery, also have some quality like audit score, etc. Number of rush order, it looks like pretty consistent. I don't see any outlier here. Some suppliers, they have more, like this, have like 58. Rush orders, this other one also 58. Those are the top ones, but it's pretty much similar to all of the others. Some have less and more, but nothing really significant. The delivery lead time average is pretty much consistent through all of the suppliers. So yeah, I cannot blame time of the year. I cannot blame specific product categories. I cannot blame suppliers. But clearly, some products have problems. Some don't. But some products have problems. Like I can see here that the products with current low stock in red, and I can see the current stock, the saved stock, how many orders, rush orders, the percentage of rush orders, and I can sort by those. And the top ones are basically around 12%. Not crazy individually by product. So maybe I cannot blame the products as well. So instead of blaming, let's try to make some actions. So first thing, and is it the first level of maturity when you try to use analytical tools like this? Well, let me know when things are happening. So that'll be the first thing. Let me know when a product goes below the safety level. So I don't need to receive a call from a specific department saying, hey, we're out of this, or we have a very low quantity of this. Let me know, not a lot of ahead of time, but at least when happened, the moment when happened. So how can I do that? There are multiple ways. Let me show you the one that it's very simple, requires just a few seconds. Let's create an alert. And I just want to pick as my starting point I can pick the table, I can pick like any object, really, but let's pick just this KPI here, just as a starting point. And I'll just use my best friend when you working with a lot of interfaces, which is the right click of the mouse. Let me right click, I have many options here. Let me go to this ellipsis, and that's the alerts. That's the option I want. Let me do alert, and I want to create an alert. And basically, I want to receive an alert when a product goes below the safety level. So let me title this product with low stock. Yeah, I mean, it might be more than one product. So let's skip that title. I don't want to add a description. The data to alert. Actually, let me remove this. I want to add something else. So let me see. I want to add as a measure, and I have this measure pre-calculated. I want to add what is the safety stock. I want to know that. But I also want to know what is the current stock. So then I know what is the actual difference. And just, I don't want to think much. Let me also bring the difference, which is pre-calculated. It's called the safety inventory. All right. Okay. And then let me show this by product. So let me do that by product. Pretty good. So right now, this is what I will receive if this alert is triggered. So these are the products, and I don't have any filter yet. So it's basically showing all of the products. So safety stock, current stock, and the difference. Great. But I don't want to receive this for all the products, only for the products that are below that amount. So in alert, I have 3 steps: the details and data, what you want to receive; conditions is what will trigger that alert when you receive it, basically; and distribution is like how you want to when you want to receive this. You want to do daily, you want to do hourly, you want to do every time there's new data in the application, there's a refresh to the data set. That's the 3rd step. So let's go from step 1 to step 2. And well, when because we have the safety inventory, and that's the difference. So let's say when that is negative, it means the product has a low stock. So when that is less than 0, it will trigger my alert. So now I'm filtering only the products with low stock. Great. Now let's go to the 3rd step. I want to receive it when the data is fresh. I think that's too much. Let's say I refresh this data multiple times during the day. I think it is too much, because if I know, like, let's say in the morning, that these products are low, I'm going to place order good and do something about it. I don't want to be reminded like 30 minutes, 1 hour later, because I already handled that. So unless I want to, unless I want to do like multiple times during the day, but let's do daily. Now let's do once a day. And let's say I want to run this every day at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. There you go. Continuously meaning run this forever. I don't have a stop date. There you go. You want to share with others, so then you can add other people here to receive that alert. But that's just myself. I'll handle it from here and create. Great. Problem solved, right? No. You acting faster, but you still have the problem, because you only receive an alert when the product reaches, it's in the unsafe level. We still have products, again, there's now you have a negative quantity of the product. You still have the product, but it's below the safety level. Okay. What I really want to do is to know in advance what will be my demand in the future, so then I can order ahead and do not reach that safety level or below the safety level. But before we go into that part, I think it's time for a second quiz question. In your view, which area could advanced analytics benefit most in healthcare supply chain management? I'll give you a few seconds to answer, and then we will continue. All right. So now let's go to the predictive analytics. And there's a lot of things we can predict. For this particular demo, I've selected consumption. So what I'm doing here is to predict, not for tomorrow, because based on the implementation we did here, I think tomorrow is too soon. Not too soon, it's too late already. I want to predict 3 days from now. So we are March 4th. So we're predicting March 7th, and then 8, 9, and a few days in the future, how many units of each product will be consumed. So let's take, for example, aspirin. We're predicting 20 aspirins to be consumed in 3 days, and then 14 the day after, and 11 and 20, and so on. So for each product, we predicted the daily consumption day by day. Right. It's almost like a time series. So we're predicting that the consumption. And out of those, based on current stock level, and I'm just making an assumption for tomorrow and the day after, like the days before the 7th, which mean that today, the 5th and the 6th, I'm just making assumptions. And from that, based on current stock level, we're predicting how will be our stock if we don't do anything, if we do nothing, how will be our stock? Green means will be above safety level, above or in safety level. Yellow means we below safety level, but it's still above 0. Red is the worst, means we out of the product. There is no product. So look at this, for example. This is a critical case. Like in 3 days, we already do not have any product, which is the case for many of these products. If we scroll down, we'll see that. Now, we have these KPIs here that basically shows how many products have at least 1 day of healthy stock, 15. We have a total of 30 products, by the way. Only half, they have at least 1 day of healthy stock. Half of them do not even have that. So there's a terrible problem. 27 of those, almost all of our products, they at some point in time, they are below the safety level. And absolutely all of them, at some point in time, they'll run below 0. They'll be all consumed. And this is a short window. We could do a longer window, but this is a short window. And then we just sum in how many days in total, product days, like how many days in products in total. So we can have an idea of how big of a problem this is. So this is pretty bad. Now, how did I run this prediction? Did I spend weeks, months writing a lot of complex machine learning code? Actually, not. I use Qlik AutoML. So I can actually show you the experiment that I've created. So Qlik AutoML performs all of the programming tasks for me, so then I can focus on the analytical. So what I have to do is I provided data from the past. So then the machine learning could learn like the behavior in this clinic, the behavior in the company, how every single point of data correlates to one another, to drive the prediction, which is the quantity consumed. This, I'm telling you, if you have to program this in R, Python, or any other language, is weeks, best case scenario, weeks of work. And you need a very specialized data scientist who will program this for you. And also there's a lot of pre-processing tasks that you need to perform if you're doing this manually, like, and actually, I can show you that if I expand this. So imputation of no's, what do I do when I have no values? Encoding categorical values, feature scaling, automatic holdout of training. I don't even need to explain you all of what this is. You don't need to know this. Click AutoML, the Qlik automated machine learning knows what it is. And so basically you can focus on the analytical. So it does all of the pre-processing. That is basically the task needed to prepare your data before you start the machine learning. This is before you even be able to start the machine learning, preparing the data for the machine learning, because machine learning has specific requirements. And then what is the best recipe to have this? And recipes, it's the same as an algorithm. I can use recipe or algorithm, depends on how much I want to charge per hour. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, what different recipes or algorithms, what is the best recipe or algorithm for these type of problem, this type of use case? I don't know. Nobody knows until you actually tested a bunch of them and compare them. If you want to do this manually, you need to go and write a code to train your data using XGBoost regression, using LightGBM regression, use random forest, use CatBoost, linear regression, all of those. Or you can let AutoML do it for you. Within minutes, it's already, it compares, recommends you your champions, and I run multiple versions. That's why I have multiple champions. And I have all of the data here to analyze which one makes sense. I can compare one to the other. There's all of the performance metrics that I can use to compare the different modules. Let me go like this, for example. All of the performance metrics, and then I can decide which performance metrics I care the most. Let's say I care the most of R square, and then, oh, that's the best module. And once I'm ready, I deploy it. That's this little atom symbol represents the deployment. When it's deployed, then it becomes a resource, an asset in my Qlik environment. So then I can call it and get predictions out of it. So that's what happened. I provided data in the past, so then I can have predictions for the future. So, and that's what the prediction gave me. However, if I only have the prediction, that's better than before, because then I know based on the prediction, there's the consumption, so they can order ahead. And just because I first ran this product, I still have a lot of in red, but as I get used to this, as I'm including this as part of my management, supply chain management, then I'll have less and less reds, because then I know ahead and I'm planning ahead. So then I'm not letting the problem happen. And when it happens, it will be an exception. Like there was a pandemic or something that no model could predict, and that's okay. But those would be the exception, not the rule, which is what we're facing right now. This is great, but I think we can do better. How so? Well, when I explain what the machine learning does, I kind of gave a spoiler of what is the biggest benefit of machine learning. Having predictions, it's amazing, but that's not the biggest benefit of machine learning. Because in order to make how does it make prediction? It's not like random, it's not like AutoML is not a psychic. It makes prediction because it learns the relationship in your data. And that's the biggest benefit. You get to know your business and your data better. Oh, if I do this, then that happens, because that's the relationship within the data. Actually, I have some use cases for, there's some implementation, some customers that are a little skeptical of machine learning to predict the future, or maybe they say, well, there's a little bit of AI literacy that we need to work on internally first. to get people more comfortable using this tool and how to use this tool to get predictive analytics. But let's start by using, I have customers like this. They use AutoML and they don't do the prediction part. They just do the explanation why the model make the prediction. They basically use it to analyze how the data correlates to one another. And it's already a great benefit. So if I click this little button here, it will tell me on the left why the module predicted what it predicted. What are the key drivers? And in this case, the day of the week is number one. It's the most important to predict consumption, which kind of makes sense. There's some days of the week, there are higher consumption of overall and of particular products than other days. And then the previous week rolling average, like the rolling average, like the consumption of last week, it's a key driver for the consumption of current week, which also makes sense. And then the actual week, that means the week in the year, if you're the first week, the 30th week or whatever, of course, and that's better than the month because the month, it's too broad, the week is more narrow. So those are the top three. The product itself is fourth. And look at the category, it's the last one. So it's not a category problem as we imagined before, or even month, or even the safety stock that is too low or too high. Those are the top three. Great. A lot of machine learning products, they give you this. However, this is just an overall, that's a summary, which is better than what we had before, which was not an explanation. So that gives me a lot of transparency. But we know that there is nuances in play here. Maybe there's a particular weekdays that are very different than others, particular weeks, etc. Because it tells me the day of the week is the most important, but it doesn't tell me what. If you guys are a fan of the, as I am, and there's a very like big nerd alert here. If you're fans of the Hitchhiker Guides to the Galaxy, remember what is the ultimate question for the universe, life, and everything? What is the answer for the life, universe, and everything? Is 42. But what it means 42? Well, did you not know the context, the actual answer question for that? So that's the kind of the same thing. This is our 42. It's helpful, but it doesn't tell the whole story. What days of the week specifically I have higher or lower consumption? Now, Qlik AutoML gives you that information for every single row. In that case, it's for every single product because we're predicting in the product level. So some days of the week will drive, those are the ones in red, will drive a lower consumption. Some days of the week will drive a higher consumption. And each dot does not represent the day of the week, is the intersection of day of the week and product. Because some products are more consumed on Sunday, some products are more consumed on, I don't know, Wednesday. So then it gives you product by product, and same for rolling average and the week and so on. So then I can make selections, select a few of these, or select a product and see how that works. And great, I have everything that I need. So I not only have the prediction for product for the future of consumption in the future, but also have an explanation why the module make this prediction. So I don't need to blindly trust the module. I can verify if it makes sense based on my field knowledge. And to me, based on this data set that we prepare for this demo, it makes totally sense. But we can do better. Let's analyze one of these products. I like this one because it shows all of the lifetime of a product in a supply chain. It shows when you're healthy, when you're unhealthy, when you're totally like, let me think of a different what I was about to use, what I was not supposed to. You're totally in trouble. So let me select this MRI contrast agent. All right, so let's see day by day, and I have a little bit more days in the future here, a little bit more detail. So This is our safety level. It's in 38 products. So that's how many I need to be in the safety, have a safety stock, a healthy stock. So we run it, and this line represents the daily consumption. So we healthy for 2 days. Then if I don't do nothing, I run 3 days below safety level. And then from that point on, I'm just running negative, meaning I will not have the product. So procedures will not be able to be performed, and I'll lose patients. Patient health will be impacted. I'll lose money. So there's a big impact into this. Now, remember when I mentioned AutoML, that once you deploy the module, it becomes an asset, a resource. You can call it. So I'm calling daily to give these daily predictions, but also I can call on the fly. So I run this. This is very simple, just for the demo. It can be as fancy, as complex, as advanced as your use case needs. But just to show you a little taste of the art of the possible, let me run a simulation. How about I place an order right now of 137 products? This is how our stock will go. So of course, we have a pretty high stock at first, and of course, I need to, in a real case scenario, we'll put some limits, because you might have a limit in how much you can stock of that product. You cannot stock more because you don't have space. So of course, we have to put those guardrails in place, which we don't have here. We want to have like a simplified version of this demo. But then I can see right away, and look how I'm actually calling AutoML and making predictions as I run it. And look how fast it runs. As I run through this, it takes 1 second, less than a second. And then I can decide what will make sense. So that's what if scenario using predictive analytics. Actually, there's a name for this. We call this the real-time prediction. Great, great. However, I think we can do better. How about we actually place an order right from here? So if I click on that place order, actually, let me go it again. Place an order. I click this button. Now I have this little form. This is an infinity form. And look what's happening here. That's my product that I have selected. We have a little, we create a little, we call recommendation system. And there's multiple ways we can run this depending on each use case. But basically, what is a supplier recommended? And the big driver for that is, when do I need it before I'm running negative? Based on that, we have another AutoML, a second AutoML that will predict me what is the earliest delivery date. So we'll get this on the 8th if I buy now, which is great news, because I know that we're running healthy until the 8th. That's the last day. And then we're running below, still little stock, but below safety. So that's great. We're replacing the product and we'll still be in the healthy level. That's how much we're predicting shipping will cost for the recommended quantity. So we're suggesting a quantity. Total predicted quantity consumed in the whole horizon, we're predicting you consume 191, but we're suggesting a lower quantity because you don't need to purchase like 2 weeks of this product, just to get like in a healthy or in a better place. So let's say I agree with that. So then I'll do 170, which is what is recommended. I can write comments if I want. Of course, this is a very simple form because we have like 50 minutes to present the whole thing. So I want to do something simple, but we can do something more complex. So let me place the order here and I'll show what's happening behind the scenes. Now, when I click save, I will rerun my predictions for not only this, but I'm rerunning for the whole thing. I'm rerunning my predictions, taking into consideration the order that I just placed. So taking that into consideration, this is, it didn't update. 170, place order. Oh, that was not supposed to happen. What's supposed to happen is, I think, yeah, that was supposed to happen. It will show you the, like this. Anyway, so all using AutoML. Now, and I actually, of course, I don't have a clinic, so I don't actually place an order and I'll receiving MRI contract agent at my home because I have a lot to explain to the FBI while I'm awarding this, which is radioactive. So I didn't do that. But it's actually, we've done it before. So there's another piece of product that is included in the Qlik platform. You don't need to pay extra for that, which is the automation. What I did there, but it's all fake data. So I create a fake order. I don't actually order anything for real. But there's an automation. Basically, an automation is a workflow. And it can be as smart as you want, and it can be react to the many other parameters. But basically, connect pieces. So once I call this, and I'm calling this, it's called trigger. So I need to call this externally, which is that button. And oh yeah, I know what happened. It didn't. This one is right. I disabled some of these because it was actually entering records into an actual ERP, MRM system we have for tests, and I just want to disable that. So I disabled the automation. That's why we didn't see reflected back. But anyway, I got the data entered in the form, and then I check if the order was already placed before, and then if it was replaced, and I'll check the quantity, update the quantity. If it was not, then I'll place the order. I'll send an email after, and then I'll rerun the prediction. So that's an automation. And the automation in Qlik, I have so many different types of connections. So I can connect Qlik and the different pieces of Qlik with many multiple vendors. And if you don't have any specific to your vendor, let's say you don't have any specific to Epic or other vendor, we have the API calls, and then you can call basically anything. And look at the list. You can call like AI agents, you can call a lot of things and integrate within your ecosystem of analytics. And that's basically what I have prepared. And is again, it's just one simple use case that we go all the way from describing the data, predicting, and actually acting on the prediction. I hope you enjoyed this, and now it's time for questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Igor. We really appreciate you speaking with us today. Before we get started with the Q&A, we are going to launch the final poll question. Additionally, if you have
yes,
any
I forgot.
questions,
It's time for the third question, for the CPE question. And then we start the Q&A. So going forward, which strategy do you feel will drive the biggest leap in your organization supply chain transformation? And we already have someone raising their hand for question.
Yes, it looks like our first question here asks, can I have multiple data sources added to the application, and is there a limit?
Okay, do we have questions? I think Gary has a question.
Yes, all right. Hello, Igor, can you hear me?
Let's see if I think you can type in the chat. Hey, Megan, no, we cannot hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Or at least I can't. Let me see, maybe I can't and everybody can. I think I unplugged. Oh yeah, it's my problem. 1 second, I unplug my headset. Oh yeah, I think now I can hear. Let's see.
Wonderful. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, my headset unplugged and I was not aware of that.
Perfect. No worries at all. But you're right. We do have our first question. It says, can I have multiple data sources added to the application, and is there a limit?
Great question. Actually, no, there is no limit. You can have multiple data sources. You can have your EMR system with your, I don't know, if you have other system, if you have data files, you can have multiple data sources. And once you bring them to Qlik, for Qlik, data is data. So then you connect those different data sources and you're good to go.
Wonderful. Looks like our second question says, I like the predictions features. What type of predictions can we run?
Okay, so basically we have three types of predictions or three types of problems you can run. One is the one we just did here. You predict a number like quantity consumed. We call this a regression. So if you need to predict a number, we can use Qlik AutoML. The other one is what we call a binary classification. That's basically a fancy name to, you predict something that is either A or B. Like, is this patient canceling the appointment or no, yes or no? So anything that you have two options. And then we have also multi-classifications. You have multiple options. Let's say I'm trying to predict in a particular given patient that did not inform me the insurance. What would be like the financial class or something for that? And we have more than two options. So that's another thing we can predict. So any problem that it's either a number or it is what we call a category or a text that is either two or multiple, we can predict using Qlik AutoML. And I think Gary raised his hand also.
Possibly. Again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A box. It looks like I have one more question lined up. It says, is the placing an order functionality part of the tool?
Okay, that's a good question. So let me go there again. So there's multiple ways to do this. So the way I did it, which is what I think it's the best or recommended, and it integrates perfectly with the Qlik platform, it's using this, it's a partner product called Infinity Forms. So it's not natively part of Qlik, but it's basically is an add-on. It's super cheap. It's really super cheap. It's like I'm not gonna say the price because I'm not sure. I'm not in sales, but it has so many interesting functionalities like write back and people use it in many ways. So in case you want to include, just like I did it, you can include that. But there are other ways. If you don't want to do it, we can create an automation that will send an email and you do it the other way, or just go with the recommended quantity. You know, there's multiple ways, and each use case, each implementation is different. So it depends on how you decide to implement this.
Absolutely. It looks like that is the end of the questions on my side. So I would like to thank you so much for your insight.
I saw Gary had his hands up, so just want to make sure we answer everybody's questions. So Gary, if you can, put in the Q&A, then I'll be happy to answer. Or maybe I answer the question by answering another question. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see if anyone has any last comments.
Yeah, if there's any also follow-up questions, I mean, feel free to reach out to me. You can easily find me on LinkedIn or and yeah, I'll be there to help.
It looks like Gary's question did come through. He said you did answer it. Thank you.
Okay, great. I'm glad.
Wonderful. But yes, again, I would like to thank you so much for your insight and answering those questions for us. And I'd like to thank our participants as well for being with us today. We hope the information you received during this webinar has been helpful. So thank you again, everyone, and I hope you all have a great day.